What is going on, everyone? It's Nick from Breaking the Clutch. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Monday. So let's get into some housekeeping issues before I jump into today's video, which is my first ever Colony video. And let me just say, Colony is fucking awesome. All right, before I get into that though, the very last video that I made was Consano's firewall is broken or something along those lines, and I must admit I was terribly wrong. Consano's hero is absolutely counterable, defeatable. I mean, it's a very easy unit to counter. Simply ram the unit and it cuts her Y ability short. Yeah, I didn't know that, and a lot of you guys commented that, and that was the perfect comment. That's all I needed to know. There's pretty much nothing else that needs to be done. Simply ram the unit. It flails her arms, and then you can just rinse them from there. The issue that I had was that I had never dealt with the unit, and what you saw was my instant reaction to it. So I was a little bit upset, a little angry that I couldn't figure out. And when I said in the video, like I suggested that it was not preventable, I meant that in the video, in the particular game I was playing, it was not preventable. As you saw, if you did watch it, I tried to get up a barracks and it was getting rinsed, and I was saying that I could not possibly prevent it any longer in that video because I didn't do a good enough job of getting to the opponent's side of the map and scouting. So when I stated that it was not preventable, I meant in that particular game. Obviously, if you do a good scout, you can prevent any rush. Okay, so I needed to be more unambiguous with my wording, and I just needed to do a better job with expressing myself in that video. So I do apologize. I do think that the unit is still a little overpowered when it comes to dealing damage to bases, just because it's a walking eradication unit. I mean, simply put, that's my opinion on it. I'm not saying that it needs to be nerfed or anything like that, but I do think it can be utilized in a great way with the current state of things. All right, with that out of the way, I hope I expressed myself more clearly that time. Again, very counterable, and I think it does just a little bit too much damage to bases. All right, but it also doesn't do damage to units. It's very weak. It takes a little bit of damage to kill it. All right, we're moving on. Whew, getting that out of the way. Two other things. June 3rd and June 10th, we have two tournaments coming up. BTC is hosting a 1v1 tournament on June 3rd, and we're hosting a 2v2 tournament on June 10th. Registration for those will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Expect registration for the ones tournament to be on the 17th, and expect registration for the twos tournament to be on the 27th, I believe. 2 days before that happens, on June 15th, I'll release a video. It'll state all the information that you will possibly need to register for the tournament, and then on the 24th, I guess that would be, you'll have the twos registration video that comes out, and it'll have all the information on how to register for the twos tournament. Yes, we have two more tournaments coming out in June. Our plan is at this very moment to do 2 tournaments a month for the rest of the year. So, hope that clears the air. I'll mention that in a few more videos, make sure everyone's on the same page, because we've been getting a lot of comments about that. Alright, finally, I can get to what I wanted to talk about. Colony. Absolutely awesome. We need more diverse leaders and units like this. I mean, the skitterers themselves, I don't know, and I don't know if I mentioned, this is my very first video with Colony, so I don't have any sort of strategy going into this. I'm simply I'm countering what my opponent's doing, and that's how I'm basing my game. So he goes, I think like 7 or 8 grunts. He's probably just trying to pick up the power nodes and, spread himself across the map to pick up as many power nodes as he can to get his second tier and third tier out as quickly as possible. Yeah, that's fair. So what I'm going to do is make probably 7 or 8 choppers, and I'm going to throw a couple skitterers in there just to see how they fit into the mix of things. And they do some pretty good damage to at least the weaker units. I'm not quite sure how they fare against tanks or wraiths or anything like that, banshees, whatever. I'm not familiar with that, so I can't comment on that. But they do a good amount of damage to some of the weaker units in the game. And also, do they add a little more health to your units? Because it feels like some of my units that had skitterers attached to them were living a little bit longer, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm just curious if that's a part of the game. It's such an awesome leader, and the fact that I think the colony has to use like a translator or a transmitter of some sort in order to speak. It's a great leader. It has this eerie, like, unknown feel that I don't think has been in Halo in quite some time. It just makes you wonder, like, what's been going on with the hunters in their own homeworld, stuff like that. So there's a lot of questions that I have based on just them introducing this leader, and it excites me for the future and what could possibly be for some of these hunter heroes that we have never seen before. Maybe they'll pave the way for some of the jackals, maybe jackal leaders that we've seen in Hunt the Truth I think season 2. If any of you guys ever saw that, I think there is a lot of potential here. There is a lot more. There's a lot more reason to be excited about the future and the potential that they can bring to Halo Wars 2. All right, let's jump back into the game. Enough of my fanboyness jumping out like that. Right now, I've got a good amount of choppers and I think just a couple of skitterers attacking this guy's back base. I'm trying to get rid of his power extractor because it's simply if I'm not going to beat this guy right here on this. I understand that. I know that. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to take out his power extractor because nothing sets a person back more than losing their power extractor in the early part of the game. Now, once you saw that he has an apex, so I assume he's making some banshees, which makes me need to transition into reavers much quicker than I end up doing. I think I start clicking on reavers fairly late into this, which as soon as I see that apex, I need to click 1 or 2 reavers instantly. It just has to happen, and then I push the locusts in after that, because locusts are gonna do a good amount of damage to banshees as long as I keep them from a distance. Because don't forget, locusts are extremely weak units. They don't take damage, I should say. They simply die. Alright, so we need to make sure that if I'm going to keep using locusts, I need to keep them at a good distance in order to make sure that I don't lose any. As you see, I'm still going a little bit of reavers, a little bit of locusts, and at this point he stopped attacking that mini base, which tells me that he's going to attack my main base. He's just skipping over that. So I tried to get up a turret. Obviously it's not going to work. I don't know what I was thinking on that part. So right now I've got to do a little bit of microing. I've got to make, or I guess macroing in this instance. I'm trying to get my units that are on the far side of the map to prepare to attack his main, and then I'm going to get the units out that I have coming out of my base to attack these banshees that are doing a decent amount of damage to my base. Now this engineer swarm, I don't know if it was the right call to use it in this particular situation for him. Yeah, I guess what he's trying to do is what I just did to him. He's trying to take out my power extractor, maybe take out a foundry, which I do believe he does. But I don't know if you use the engineer swarm in that particular case. Maybe use it. Yeah, maybe you do. I'm not too familiar with what situations to use these guys in. As you'll see, I end up using it right here. I think I use it to make sure that I can try to defeat some of the turrets. And I don't know what he does here, but I look away for just a second and I come back and all of my stuff is one shot on that side. So, damn, I still couldn't see. It might have been that not eradication, but it's the middle ability for Colony. It does like a triple beam and then it meets it in the center and blows up kind of thing. It's like a mini eradication beam, for lack of my knowledge. So he does that. I don't pay attention for a split second. I lose that. So what that tells me is I need to back up because those banshees are going to be showing up in just a second, and he's got a good amount of them. Now, if I'm him in this situation, what am I going to try to do here? I've got reavers. I've got locusts. I don't know if hunters are the answer, and he does end up going hunters. But hunters are such a linear unit, and as you guys have probably heard in previous videos, I'm kind of against these linear units. I do have reavers in my mix, which are very linear, but I don't have to make anything else for that. I already have my foundry, so I can keep pumping locusts if I need to, and reavers in the mix. Now, if I were him, I would actually probably go wraiths, maybe a little bit of marauders in this instance. I don't have anything that's countering vehicles at the moment, and because if you notice at locusts, they do a good amount of damage. They're still quick units, even though their speed was decreased a bit. But I'd probably mix in some marauders to slow down my locusts from running away, and then I'd maybe double down with some wraiths. Yeah, I know it takes Tech 3, but I don't know. Maybe that's the way I would go about countering this. I don't know if it's possible in this particular situation for him to switch to Tech 3 just that quickly, but I would much rather go wraiths and marauders than I would say hunters. I'm fine with going Goliaths just because you can drop those units in with Colony's abilities, but hunters, I just don't like seeing the barracks up. I just don't think that that's threatening enough, because at any point I can switch into Banshees, and if he gets stuck going so many Hunters, yeah, your game's over. There's nothing you can really do. And as you'll see a little bit later in this video, I do end up swapping to Banshees just to make sure that I'm not going to have to deal with any more of these Hunters. And then you're pretty much done at that point. You'll see I dropped in Goliaths, but I mean, tell me what you guys think. Would you rather go? Well, I should preface with this. I actually think Marauders are kind of viable in this at this point in the meta of things, especially when you're dealing with an enemy player whose colony specifically, because if they go Goliaths and you use Marauders, you can stun those guys in their own spot, and then you can have other units attack it. Remember, Goliaths have to be up and close to attack. So if you have something that slows them down, like a Marauder shot, they're not going anywhere. They're not doing any damage to anything, and you can stop them like that. So I do think that, and maybe I'll make a video on this, but I think Goliaths can easily be countered by Marauders. So with that said, why not add just a little bit of Marauders in the mix with Wraiths in order to stop the Locust Rush or the Locust Reaver combo that I've got going on right here. Again, you use the Marauders to slow down the Locusts and the Reavers, and your Wraiths pick them off, because Wraiths did get a boost. Maybe it was 2 patches ago at this point, but they're viable units for sure. So I think we need to start using Marauders a little bit more. I will go in. I'll analyze this a little bit more, make some more strategy videos on this, and we'll see if we can build something out of that. But I do think they're being underutilized at the very moment. Alright, finally I figure out it's time to use those Engineer Swarms, and this is probably a good place to use it while my units are getting attacked by those Hunters, and then at that point, it's pretty much over. I've successfully held off my opponent from getting too many Hunters out that would rinse my units. Yeah, what do you guys think about the gameplay? What do you guys think about Colony? Definitely more videos coming out about Colony, and I do apologize for anyone who was looking forward to Isabel commentary, but I've had a change of heart with Isabel. I need to reassess what I had previously made a video on, and I have since deleted that video from my hard drive, and I've got to do a little more research. I don't want to be too vocal without knowing what I'm talking about. So I need a few more days to make sure I've got Isabel under wrap. But you will start seeing more leaders since the update, and more Colony videos will be coming out soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. This has been Nick from BTC. See you guys later.